Welcome to F Words for Female Founders, a podcast about the highs, the lows, and the what the Fs of building businesses in real time. I'm Michelle, alongside the wonderful Amy, Courtney, and Haley. We're the founders of 4 very different businesses at very different stages, and we met as founders in the summer 2025 Startmate cohort. We pretty much connected instantly as founders. Despite having very different backgrounds, we really shared this common thread and a commitment to kind of call it like it is. And we realized there's an opportunity to talk about the startup stories that most others leave out, the messy middle. Each week, we'll dive into a theme, swap stories, get real about the roller coaster of building something from the ground up. And we're going to share the stuff we're frothing. Yes, I said that F word on right now. Founder wins, stories that aren't hitting your usual feeds are all part of our podcast.
Yay, welcome back to another podcast with your F Words gals. How are you guys all doing? You've got your hair done, Haley?
I did indeed. It was a rush last minute appointment, but critical.
I thought for a moment there we were going to have you in foils and I was ready for it.
You just about did. So, I mean, this takes a long time.
Awesome. Well, today we're doing a bit of what we like to call a sandwich, where we've got Michelle talking to the amazing Amada of Superpower. So we're going to take a little listen into that amazing interview. All of us have listened to it and we literally said, this is the podcast we want to engage in and enjoy. So I hope that others listening feel the same way. But let's take a listen to that now before we break it down as a group.
Welcome to our next episode. I'm Michelle Reeves. I'm one of the 4 regular co-hosts. Instead of having all 4 of us here today, I am joined by a special guest. Today we have Amada Reyes, who is on the founding team of a really impressive startup called Superpower. And we're going to be diving into everything that they're doing, her journey. Superpower is a startup that recently raised $30 million, and they're on a mission to launch the world's first health super app. Their investors are it's like a dream list of VCs and angels, including high-profile celebrities like Vanessa, Hudgens, Steve Aoki, NBA stars, you name it. This is going to be a future case study for the business schools of the US, no doubt. As I was thinking about Superpower, though, I was thinking about the right F word for this episode and the word fit, and not just fitness fit, but finding your fit in your career, your company, your purpose. That really kind of stuck with me. And so when I asked Amada to join me on this episode, I asked her about chatting about this F word fit. Welcome, Amada.
Thank you. Feels like a full circle, even as you were talking about our investors. Thought of Randy Zuckerberg, and now we're over here working with Ariel Zuckerberg. But I just realized as you were going through that intro, so full circle. Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
What it is you are someone who you are a powerful human and female in tech. And I think you attract other really energetically powerful, purposeful women in the space that you're in. We met in DMs of the Twitter spaces, Twitter, Instagram, Web3 days, the dirty word NFTs and crypto brought us together. And I will forever love Web3 for that reason.
I could not agree more, and I will always be grateful to you. It was a DM and it was an email, and then you gave me the opportunity. You were like, yeah, let's meet. And then it was love at first sight. I will never forget La La Land Cafe in LA. Love at first sight, just getting, it's just truly a reflection. It's not even talking about myself. It's a reflection of what you do. You're always looking for ways to empower women, help women, help everyone and empower everyone, but you really go out of your way to elevate other people and teach them what you've learned, and to make sure they don't make the same mistakes, and to make sure just to learn from you. And I will never forget that's how it started, and you were so kind to open up your world to me, and I learned so much from you, and I still learn so much from you to this day.
I actually feel very touched, to be honest, because when we met at that coffee shop and we were just kind of meeting, and I think it was, during that coffee, all that was ringing in my head was, this person needs to be on the team. Like, I need to make a job for Amada immediately. I'm not even going to ask my co-founder of the company that I was in. I felt the same about you. And I thought, this is this young, super curious, open-minded innovator. And I could learn, honestly, just so much from you. And I feel like all those words you just gave to me, I'm going to mirror back to you. So thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Can you tell us, you've moved on from the Web3 days, you're now in Superpower. What do you do at Superpower? Give us kind of the baseline, your role, and kind of maybe a little glimpse into the average day, but I don't think you have an average day
I don't
at
have
Superpower.
that when I interview candidates, they ask me like, "What does your day look like?" I'm like, "Which day?" But no, honestly, I am part of the founding team at Superpower. And as you know me, as Michelle knows, and I really try to dive into it. I am not afraid to say I love working, and I love working because I try to do and work for things and work within missions that I'm really passionate about. And I've been so lucky to do that, and especially now. So Superpower being part of the founding team, I've just kind of do a lot of different things, but I think my priority is always maximizing impact. So whether it's relationships with our close friends, our VIPs, our investors, our network, how do we maximize impact through those relationships, partnerships? How do we partner with people, not only people partnerships, but brand partnerships that are aligned, that are working towards the same mission Superpower is working towards, and in general that we want to help amplify, not only again with people or with brands. How do I make sure that the Superpower message can reach as many people? We're only live in the US, but we still want to reach as many people around the world. A lot of Australians are on the wait list because we've been partnering with a lot of people in Australia, and that at the end of the day, like, even if you're not able to be part of the platform right now, we hope that you find something in Superpower that reflects your goals, that reflects the lifestyle you're aiming for. And I always say, yes, Superpower is a healthcare platform, but we're also just going to be a lifestyle brand. And that's the goal. How do we make sure people make the decision to join the platform, but also make habit changes and start meeting people in the community that have similar, I guess, like every day to day, and are working towards similar goals. So yeah, when you ask me about my day to day, it changes depending on priorities. But we just went out of beta last week and launched to the public. So last week, my kind of day to day was all about pulling all these pieces together, connecting with our investors, connecting with our creator partners, influencer partners, connecting with any brand partners that we wanted to activate, and making sure that the team here at HQ, and we have offices in New York and LA, but our team was really ready for the launch, from our engineers to our product to marketing and to our founders. Our founders are so busy with a zillion things, Kevin, Jacob, and Max, and so making sure that they also had everything they needed in order to go live. And we're also, I guess, across all the different things that were happening on this day that happened just last Thursday. So time flies.
That's that classic founding team answer where, like, maybe on paper there is a title and a job description, but pretty much the minute you begin is the minute that goes out the window, right? And now you are a catch-all for wherever the company and the founders are taking you in that moment. Yeah.
Yes.
What is it that Superpower does? Like, we know it's this big super health app, and they're really reimagining what I think from the outside looking in, access to healthcare and knowledge about your own well-being can be. But what does Superpower do? Like, you're having a dinner party. How do you describe this to people in its easiest, simplest form?
What I tell people is that the Jeff Bezos in the world have access to concierge medicine. And of course, they pay 100K to 100K per year to have access to this. And so, how come you have to be a millionaire, billionaire in order to have access to this type of healthcare? That's where Superpower comes in. How do we make sure we can all access something like concierge medicine, and we can all get the best data to take action towards better health? So that's kind of what I always go to, because sometimes people don't realize it's even an option. You might see the articles, you might see people come out with like, this is my health stack, and this is what, like, I don't know, this MD recommended, and it's like they paid 100K for that. And so it's not attainable to the average person. But at Superpower, we make sure that it's accessible. to as many people as possible. Hopefully we will make it even more accessible in the coming years. But right now, once you join, the platform is a membership-based program. We get your labs and we give you all the data in order for you to make decisions based on that. Hopefully your data will come out as positive as possible. But if not, I just had a good friend tell me that their biological came out to be older than their actual age, which is something, it's not where you want to be at. But I always tell them, like, good news, like, honestly, like, you caught that early, you're still young, and now, like, let's reverse that biological. No promises, this is no medical advice, but now you have the data, and now you have an action plan that tells you how we can make sure that you can reduce your biological age, take care of all the things that you need to take care of in order to, next time that you retest in 6 months, to be hopefully pleasantly surprised with the results.
Because it's wild to think about, especially today. Our bodies are still a mystery to us, and we kind of rely on this one size fits all messaging that's coming from so-called health professionals or influencers and content creators. And I think there's so many well-intentioned people who are trying to make good choices, but maybe having dairy for you is not okay and dairy for me is okay. I don't know that, and neither does anybody else. And that's information that this, new super app could potentially unlock so that I can see if what I'm doing is actually working for me or potentially even against me.
Yes.
Because I'm taking the time to try and do it, why not maximize, the what based on actual data that is specifically about me, the individual. It's really cool.
If you ask, like, the average person, they're gonna like, how's your health doing? You're gonna say, I think I'm good, right? Like, you see me right now, I look good, but in reality, like you said, it's like we're totally guessing, and that's the last thing we should be guessing around our health.
So, Amada, you run, from what I can see, the socials and the consumer facing side of everything. And when I peek into the window that is the reels and TikTok and content of Superpower, I see some pretty interesting things. So, first of all, I see like absolute amazing, healthy kitchen food snacks. Like, you don't just go out to get like a bag of popcorn. You're going to Erewhon, which is the holy grail for those who don't know. Erewhon is the place where you basically go to spend all your money on the best, healthiest, most amazing food. And you're
Worth it.
happy to do it. You're like, I'm so happy to spend my weekly rent or mortgage on this smoothie. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm good with it because it's so nourishing. It's wild. Okay, so you guys take the food in your office very seriously. And I've also seen like burpee challenges, push-up challenges, pull-up challenges. Take us through that because the fit of culture is really just as important in Superpower as it is for the focus on the mission you're building.
Yes, culture is huge here. I think you see it on socials. I try to show as much as possible because it's really hard and sometimes it's obviously exhausting. We're here till late hours. It's also so fun. The team is doing push-up competitions, or they're going bouldering today. They're doing a marathon on Saturday. I mean, the team really is not just about saying like, yay, health. Like, they really try. I should say, we all try to implement it into our everyday, and even we host people at HQ, and when we plan on the meals that we're gonna have, it's always health comes first. Okay, what's going to nourish this person? And I think that's been, especially coming from the startup world where we're quick and scrappy and like, let's get things done. Yes, we're still a startup, but for us, it's like, is this mission aligned? Is this brand aligned? Is this pushing forward kind of like our manifesto that we have all over our website and our Instagram? And so with every action, whether it's team stuff or things that we do with our partners, health is at the forefront. And yeah, culture, I'm really, really lucky. We've become really close with the team, and so not only are they like my teammates, but they're my closest friends. We have one of our teammates the other day say like, do you guys have other friends? We're like, sorry, we don't. We're like, this becomes so, this is our everyday. So it's kind of, we just become a little family. So that's honestly very lucky because it doesn't always happen.
When I think about the fit of your culture, we're kind of going back through another tech boom, back 25 years ago in Silicon Valley, and you're in San Francisco right now. I was there and it was the beginning of the campuses for companies like Google and YouTube. Then of course, later on Facebook and others. And they were so focused on this culture, but it was really predicated on infrastructure. So they had to have a big campus with bowling alleys and ping pong tables and basketball and all
So
this stuff.
true.
And I feel like Superpower is redefining the culture of what a company can have based on what they've already got. Like every company has some kind of kitchen. So rather than just having Doritos, in the vending machine, perhaps Superpower is the catalyst for companies to think about the culture fit of we could just put salads in there or have a partnership with a local cafe for morning smoothie deliveries. That's going to nourish our our workforce. What would be other things if you think about, 5 years down the track that Superpower would love to say we influence the fit of every office because these are simple things to do? Is it, staff room pull-up challenges? Is it the food, or are there other things as well that you can think of now that you're starting to see it come together?
I hope we're able to inspire. Sometimes I do think we're in a bubble. Like we have some of the most biohacking, obviously, just like longevity people in the team. But I hope we can inspire more people. I would say I can see the push-up challenges becoming a thing. I can see just like the team is always talking about hacks. Like we all look at our data. I mean, I don't, not to be promoting always the platform, but we're always competing against each other. Like this is my biological age. This is my superpower score. Why is your creatine so low, or why is your so, and like we're just either competing but also like helping each other. We have a channel on Slack called Superpower Your Health where we're always sharing, this is what I'm doing this weekend to decompress. This is what I'm doing to step up my health game. And yeah, the team just takes that very seriously. And I hope we're able to influence other startups in that sense, that like hard work and also like it's kind of like work hard, play hard as much as possible, where everybody here is working really, really hard, but we're also trying to take care of each other. And we're not, making health a second priority.
I think about, for older companies who might be wanting to reimagine the fit of their culture and their team. I'd say, like, when you hear Amada say these things, it's not about being like, oh my God, you have to do exactly what they're doing. You're doing what's appropriate for your team, for the culture you want, and for the energy levels in your office. I think the idea is take the inspiration of that and then interpret what's the appropriate version for your team, for your company, and how they work. If it's not a pull-up challenge, maybe you start doing things like your company, weekly status meeting is a walk around the block. It could be something so simple that's just getting people some fresh air, some sunshine, and 25 minutes of walking time. And there's a lot of benefits that come with that beyond health. People now start to think differently, and their outputs, which have been shown study after study, usually become more efficient, more creative, and frankly, just better. So, I think I would implore people to think about use Superpower as the core source of inspiration and then figure it out for yourself.
I agree. And also like what's connected to the mission. We're lucky, I guess, in the sense that like health is our mission. And so we tap into that. But like, I think that's what makes us also so excited for why the team is planning Boulder and why the team is doing a marathon over the weekend. It goes back to the mission. So we're living, breathing, and everything around everything that we do it goes back to how are we optimizing for our health.
I think there's a lot of people who wonder, like, how can they find the culture fit and the career mission, the company mission that aligns? How did you find your fit? What were the things you did consistently, if you look back, that led you to keep finding innovation, thought leaders like yourself so that you could land and put yourself in the best place for success to be here where you are now?
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I think when having that mentality, I think that's so important. When I came across you and what you were building, obviously there's like immediate sense of like, I love this and I want to learn more and I want to meet her. But once I meet you, it's like I'm so invested in, like, I'm like, oh, okay, I was right. She's so cool. She's building the coolest thing. I want to be in her world in whatever way I can. But like really feeling it rather than like sometimes people perhaps think of as like maybe more transactional relationships that are like, I just need to do this in order to like maybe Michelle will connect me to this person and like thinking of that. But like truly, like the goal was always like, how can I help her build? How can we build together? Like, I want to help this mission, and I just want to learn from you and support you. And I think like fully immersing myself into that. And I think that's just one example, obviously, given we're here, but I've tried to really embody that through every opportunity, everything that has come my way, and not come my way, but also go out of my way to find people like Michelle, find people that are so bullish on their mission and that believe in it so much that you're like have no other option but to also be so embedded in it. And that's what happened with us. And I think like everything after that and before and after has always had that similar factor of like truly being so invested in and dedicated to what you do. And I ended up building my startup. It was in skincare, so it was totally different, but still around health. And that led me to different routes. That's our founding designer, actually. Oh, she's the greatest. You want to come say hi?
What's your name and what do you do at Superpower?
Yeah, my name's Hannah. I am founding designer at Superpower. Now I lead design. So yeah, we're here to make the best brand ever. So yeah.
She's quite humble. She's quite like, if you've seen our website, if you've seen anything, our brand and why people are obsessed with our brand,
God.
it's all her.
That's very sweet.
What would be one word you would use to describe the culture at Superpower and your team?
Like I think we all aspire, and I think that we all like inspire one another. So yeah, I would say it's aspirational. We're trying to build something amazing.
Thanks for jumping in.
It was lovely meeting you, Michelle.
All right, so you were talking about your journey, and what I'd love to know is what was the catalyst that got you connected to Superpower? Was it a DM? Was it a meeting? An intro? Did you reach out?
Yeah. So I was calling off my wedding, and that was like I was building my company, and it was just like a lot of things happening at the same time. And I had met the Superpower CEO back when I was building my startup, but also I reconnected with someone that was part of the team, part of the founding team, and they kind of reached out and asked what I was up to. I gave that important part of like I was calling off my wedding because it was a time of like, all right, let's figure this out. Like I can't be calling off my wedding at the same time like figuring out my company. And so I kind of had to, it's like pick a battle. And so it was I moved to San Francisco. It was truly like serendipity. I moved to San Francisco to be with my family, and the team said, come meet us, come spend time here. And that's what I did. I wasn't sure if I was going to leave my baby, what I had been working on for so long. A weekend, I knew. A weekend, I didn't tell them. I was like, let's see. But a weekend, this is where I need to be. This is exactly what I want to be part of. And yeah, I never left since that week.
Interesting, like the double fit analogy there, where you called off a wedding because that was not the right fit for you. And that's a really tough decision to make. It's easy to say, it's easy to look at other people and tell them what they should or shouldn't do, but to do it yourself and totally turn your life upside down, that's hard. It's a hard thing to be honest with yourself and then actually execute. So that's really brave. And then to do it while changing a job, a career.
No, literally.
We went for this walk and you were sharing what was happening. And I feel like I was just like, I'm going to be like, so I care about you. And I was like, I have to just be brutal. And I was like, I don't think this is how someone treats someone. I don't think this is how somebody should make somebody feel. And I would never say like yes or no what you should do, but I was just like, no, I think you already know the answer inside of you. And if you're waiting for permission, like I give you permission, like don't do it. Or if you need to do it, then find what it is that you need to like check the box and make it work. But I think it's so powerful when you are finding your fit, whether it's professionally or personally, to get real supporters of your life to help you ask those hard questions. I don't think it's about people telling you what to do, but I think it's about having them come to you so that you can explore every option and scenario in your head, ask the tough questions, and don't let you escape from giving an honest answer.
But see, it goes back to like why you have to surround yourself, not only professionally, but like in life with people that are like, let's do it, let's figure it out. Like, are you fully into this? Because you could have easily been like, well, if it's kind of working, but it's like that, it's just who you are, like professionally, but also like as a person. It's like, are you fully in it? And is this person fully in it? This is like, come on, like fully, this is what you want your life to look like. And again, it's not only when it comes to work, but also personal. So so important to surround yourself with
You've
those types
landed
of
in some
people.
pretty cool areas. Okay. You have been at the center of Web3 and crypto, and you've met with extraordinary high profile personalities, business executives. I've seen you on Zoom calls with people like Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, you chat with the Zuckerbergs, you do all the things. What advice do you have for anyone who is currently looking for their fit and maybe wants to make a move, whether it's a change or not, or just a move upwards? You know, what is it that has helped you get into the center of those zones professionally?
Just being like truly me. I think you try to mold yourself into what you think. Like if I had tried to mold into what I thought Michelle wanted at that time, like maybe I wouldn't have been here, but truly like because if I was myself and Michelle didn't like that and it just didn't work out, then it would have been fine. You know, we go our separate ways. But because I've always tried to stay true to myself and like my values, what I believe in, and like just even from the little to the big things, like truly saying to myself, not to be redundant, but yeah, just the authenticity part, doing things because you really, really care in the moment, like being in the, as much as possible, being in the present. I know it's funny because we often think like these things are going to take us to this next step, but we really never know. I would have never imagined that like Web3 and then this thing and then like we would end up here, but truly just being in the moment and saying like how grateful I am to be part of this mission with you and giving all of my energy and being fully invested in it and not expecting anything in return. I think it's important in the sense that like not doing something just because like, well, hopefully again, like hopefully like I, you know, the team will enter me to this person or I can do this thing next, but just doing it because you care about it. And so when people ask me, and we have like we've had a lot of people apply to become interns, it's like go out there and like try, and if you're a fit, like it's gonna work out. Just truly be yourself. If you try to mold yourself into what you think the company wants, the company can tell. Like we can tell when people like just are telling us stuff that they think we want to hear. And number two, it's not going to work out long term. Like it might work out for a few months and then we're going to realize, okay, we this is probably not the best alignment, and it's just not going to be ideal for both parties. So staying true to yourself, trying things, like diving in full force into anything that you want to do. Yeah, I would say that.
Diving in full force. So I think that what the way I've seen that with you, because you do dive in full force, and that is in the intern example, you don't just apply for the internship. Like you take people who are already acting like they have the job. And I've seen you talk about it's the person who sends a resume and applies versus it's the person who's created reels and content and shows this is what I would do if I was on the team today. And if you hire me, I will do this. If you let me be a part of this team, I can do this for you every single day. And I think that the notion of diving in is really kind of like, don't just dress for the job. You've got to start doing the job. Do the job that you know you were born to do and fit into a company in that moment. And I think that was some of the greatest advice I saw from you recently when you were sharing about how the team is growing and how you're looking at all the applicants that are coming in. Because it is, Superpower is a really popular company right now. The other piece of advice that I saw you give, and I loved this, and I don't want to misquote you, but it was basically about like, particularly for women, if you want to, you know, be successful and advance, like get back to the office. And not in terms of like, we get like women flexibility, primary caregivers for children, and all those kinds of things. It's not to be insensitive to that. But you made some really compelling points about that is at the center of where decisions are made. And if you don't keep yourself in the center of that, you're not going to be able to keep your place there. Can you kind of share a little bit more about what you were talking about there?
Yeah, I try, like, I think with the years, I'm trying to embody Michelle and also share, like, with experience, like, how, like, the things that I would have loved to learn when I was younger. And it's that I see a lot of, like, even recent grads or women in general, and I'm meant to, but not that I don't care, but I don't care to, like, I hopefully will inspire mostly the women. I see them stay at home and I see my friends stay at home and work from home. And I think it's such an amazing perk that companies give, but at the same time as like as women, we're already left out of so many conversations. And I'm not one to be like, oh, like women, like, no, like, I'm not like that, but it's just like, it just happens. It is reality. And so we already have to like make sure we insert ourselves into those conversations. So inserting ourselves on Zoom, it's really hard. You don't even know the conversations are happening. And being in the office, and it's not, it doesn't always have to be like this negative connotation of like, why are you making decisions without me? It can be, I'm literally here with engineers all the time, and I hear them talking about a product feature we're launching, and I'm like, wait, I didn't know we were launching this. But okay, let's talk to marketing, let's talk to other people, and like let's see how we can optimize for like maximum reach of engagement and just like the best possible launch. Of course, I would have found out about it, but just being in the room and hearing it from them, like understanding what the roadmap is, changes it. And yeah, we just shouldn't. We should like the when we stay at home, the conversations are happening, and we're just letting it happen right in front of us. So us being mindful of like, of course, like especially like moms, and if you have to stay at home, like that's totally different. But if you're able to like go be with your team, even at co-working space. How I've met so many people at co-working, from the WeWorks to like the Soho houses. I've met so many people just being at the co-working spaces. I think it's important that we put ourselves out there.
There's also optics, where visibility of just you, if you're able to be present, as decisions are made or as brainstorms are happening, that's only going to have a positive effect. And I think that if you're able to leave the comfort of your living room and make it into the office a little more, that definitely can help. As a mom, I see both sides. I have to be at home sometimes, and that's a great flexibility that I need and rely on to, be a founder and a mom. But whenever I can, when the kids are at school, then that is the perfect opportunity for me to be present in, various spaces that I need to be in. We definitely need to cover, of course, the most obvious question. Your company is called Superpower. What superpower do you wish you had?
Superpower that I wish I had is probably to transport, to like teletransport. I come to terms that like work is always going to probably be a priority. I think through the years, my friends are like waiting, like, when is this not a phase? And I'm like, this is part of me. And at the same time, like, I would not be nowhere near I am without my friends and family, you included, of course, in that. And like, I just need to be better about like allocating time, and like, literally physically can't. And so if I could just be like, I'm going to be at my friend's birthday, and I'm going to be at my sister's recital, and I'm going to be with my family this weekend, and also come back to the office on Monday, like, that would be a dream come true. But in the meantime, we just we just make it work.
Until teleportation, what advice would you have for other female founders or people who are looking to be a part of the startup team? What would be some simple advice to share and get to as many people as possible?
I would say when people talk about like, for example, I think one of the biggest pieces is networking. Like, how do I network? And it's like, try to not network, try to offer value. And that, I'm not saying it in like somebody should always expect something from me, but like offer value in the sense, like if you're looking for a job, like make sure that you, like you were touching on, make sure that you present what you can already like bring to the team before it's even asked. If you are a founder and are looking to pitch to investors, like I went to one of the investors that ended up investing me. I gave him a content plan, because he was starting to build his fund, and he wanted to build out his social media, and he didn't have it, and I wanted him to invest, and he wanted to grow his social media. So instead of like kind of going back and forth, I just said, hey, I know I'm pitching you next week, but I actually built out this content plan. Here you go, and sent it, and he actually ended up investing. I don't know if it's correlated to that, but I know it meant something to him that I kind of took that step, and something that he didn't know how to do, and I feel very comfortable with. So kind of like try to figure out how you can offer value while staying true to yourself and doing things that like you truly are, it truly fulfills you. But yeah, I would say that, and like step away from like, how do I network? How do I meet certain people? It's like a zillion people are doing that. And so if you want to stand out, like you really have to go different routes.
Powerful piece for anyone to take away is if you want to network, don't network, offer value. Like that is number one. I I recently was talking to a group of young women about, how to network because it's awkward. As women, it's a loud environment, it's crowded, you've got a handbag, you're trying to manage, your phone and a drink and maybe eat, but not eat because it always is a, absolute chaotic mess. And so how are you making connections? I was like, number one, don't sell. Stop walking up to people and pitching what you're doing and who you are and why you're great.
Yes.
And use this as this is one billboard on the highway of 10 impressions you need to make. So first of all, go and ask what they're doing. Make some comment if they've just been speaking on a panel of what you found valuable. And then offer an insight that could be of value to them or a connection that you could make that could be valuable to them. And then finally, leave. Do not linger. Stop hanging around, and no deal is getting done in the crowded room. Like, make sure you're the first person who says,
So
it was
real.
so wonderful to meet you. I have to run. I'm meeting somebody else. Instantly, you are now hot property. Like, wow, this is a person on the move. And I'd love to connect. And then that's it. You just leave. You can find these people on LinkedIn. You can find them on LinkedIn. And now you have a frame of reference to DM them with real meaning. It was great to chat. Sorry it was so brief. I had to run. Maybe we can have coffee in the future. And now you've got your second billboard already lined up for success.
But I also love what you said around the hot commodity. Like, honestly, a very simple like words of wisdom that I love is like fake it till you make it. Like, you might be an intern, you might be starting out your career, but like walk in as if you were a hot commodity and act as if you were already the CEO of the hottest company right now in Silicon Valley. That's like, it's just like, it's one of those things that's not qualitative, but it's just like the energy like that you kind of give out to people, and they're like, oh, I want to talk more to her.
Really cool thing. Somebody typed in like, what are the 5 psychological truths about humans? And they had ChatGPT like distill it down to the 5 things. And one of them was human brains lie to themselves. And it's that we all think that we're impartial and that we take in data the same way that we can interpret data, and we don't. We are constantly narrating in our head what that data means, which also then means we lie to ourselves about who we think we are. So when you talk about going into a room and being a hot commodity, yes, tell yourself that. There's no reason that you're not, because no one has walked your life other than you. So you already are being unique in that you are a rare and hot commodity. You have to retrain your brain to stop lying to itself that you don't matter. And you have to rewire it to say, I'm the only one that matters in this moment. And then just go for it. I'm sure you're going to say, find me on LinkedIn. But where else would you like people to find you? Is it socials? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah, of course, LinkedIn. I'm there, Amada Reyes, but I'm most active on Instagram probably. It's just Amada Reyes _ and then at Superpower too. I'm on there sometimes.
With their Superpower Instagram, Amada Reyes _ on Instagram, and definitely on LinkedIn. You can slide into her DMs just like she slid into mine, and magic will happen in your future. Good things happen when good people connect.
How good was that episode though?
2 minutes in and I was like, I love her already. I just want to be in her aura.
I had a newfound love for Michelle as well, because I feel like I'm talking too much when I'm talking to Michelle, whereas I got to like sit back and just soak Michelle up. Like it was such a privilege to actually just shut up and listen to you and Amada talking about your amazing experiences.
Michelle, I love that you have had such a profound impact on her as well. That's just it's such a beautiful relationship that you can see coming through. So
Totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to say I'm so happy that the first thing you said was how much you connected to Amada, because I think that really sums up the experience I had when I first met her. She slid into DMs. We were like caught up in the chaos and the excitement of all things Web3. And then our first meeting in an LA cafe, I really was just like, where has this person been? And I think it's one of those like, when you find those gems of people who think the way that she does, with the energy that she has, wrapped in this package of just magnetic friendliness, that's like the gold mine of humanity. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you saw that too. And I was floored when she would say those nice things back, and I just wanted to like reach out, jump on a plane, and hug her. So
It was
it's
actually
great.
such a beautiful connection to watch between you guys, just, amping each other up, vibing, teaching each other. It was such a cool moment.
And so many nuggets in there, which is what we're going to break down, I think, of it today. Because we're going to bring more of these interviews in. But it's also, I think, interesting to see what each other took from it. So I've taken the lead for this episode and kind of drawn out some of those nuggets or key points that we can kind of reflect on and also share our own experiences on. But yeah, as you guys have your other thoughts and nuggets that you've taken out from that episode, please do bring them in. But the episode was called Finding Your Fit, which kudos to Michelle. I really actually liked that as an F word. And I think I personally resonated when you and Amada started talking about what that can actually look like in relationship. Like she took it interestingly straight into relationship. Finding your fit could be anywhere. It could be career. It could be anything. But quite quickly she made that what can be quite transactional, quite a beautiful kind of connection style thing. That said, I myself have struggled. I'm quite direct in the way that I come across sometimes. And I think whilst that can actually do well in business, it's also not been without its challenges. Like when I've personally been trying to find my fit, and in particular in relationships, because being a founder is so isolating and being a female founder isolating. I've really struggled and tried to kind of reach out and engineer these connections. And I don't think it's always worked well for me. I think sometimes I probably have come across as a bit transactional, or people have been unsure about what I was trying to get out of the relationship. So it was really nice to kind of listen to, Amada's thoughts around that and her focus on really, value. What have you guys experienced when navigating that? I think finding your fit is a difficult concept in general, but certainly as a female founder as well.
I'm happy to jump in because I think you've hit on something that I'm always having to talk to myself and make peace with, which is I have no shame. I check pride at the door. And the idea of finding your fit for me is just to constantly put myself out there, which I think as a founder, everyone would agree you have to do. But I think there's just a relentlessness to, seizing every opportunity, every LinkedIn DM, every networking moment. And it's just kind of finding your fit and then making peace with when you screw it up and make a fool of yourself or say the wrong thing or come off too over or under whatever the moment called for. I think what I've had to really become okay with is finding your fit is exactly that. It's not about berating myself for, wow, I handled that wrong. It was like, I handled that the way that I would, and I did. And that was just not the right person for me to then engage and do the partnership deal or whatever it is with. And just kind of be like, that's what that was. That was not a fit.
Feels really therapeutic for me because, like, truly, before I met you girls, like, this is my fit, by the way. How lucky am I? But before I met you, I had tried to engineer things. Like I tried to be like, let's do a campaign as three females, and and other people were in different industries. It was like probably not that well aligned, like the brands and the they were more products, I was a service, so there wasn't probably alignment there, but I was trying to do a lot of that. And I think maybe just there's an importance in showing up, as you say, Michelle, like, and I guess eventually I showed up and here we are and I'm starting to find the right people. But man, it can be quite painful on that journey, I think, when you feel, nope, that's not it, or nope, that felt transactional for whatever reason.
It's like a muscle. You just have to keep building it. Honestly, at the start of my founder journey, and this really resonates, it was the most awkward thing. I felt so awkward putting myself out there. Like I hate doing it. Part of me loves to be the center of attention, but the bigger part of me hates it. Like I hate it. And I'm so critical of myself. So I think just actually ripping the Band-Aid off, putting yourself in every room possible, talking to as many people as possible, being uncharacteristically you. And what I've found is the good ones stay and it fits really well and they support you and lift you up. And the ones that don't fit, you quickly become okay with them not being a fit. Can't lie, the first few months of that, is kind of a hard process because you overthink that fit and why didn't it work out and should I have done something differently? And then you eventually just have to be like, it's actually okay.
It's
Okay to let some
rejection.
people go.
It's
You know,
it's
people
sort of
don't serve
rejection
you.
therapy.
100%, 100%. And then the ones that are going to sort of stick around, that's where you form the most authentic and meaningful relationships. And you really actually want to show up and help each other. And I think that's really nice. And I agree with you, Amy. Have found my fit.
I think I've talked about this before, coming from the fashion world where it's not a generous space. It's not a space where you put yourself out there, and it's rare that other people put themselves out there for you. It is a really, really different feeling in this startup space, especially when you find your people. And it's, I think, definitely about quality over quantity. I always find myself super like overwhelmed in kind of a big crowded room of people trying to network and get stuff. Like it's just kind of my worst nightmare. One, because I have a hearing problem, so I feel like I'm missing a lot of things that are happening in that moment and trying really hard to like lip read and focus on people and make sure that I'm not missing stuff. But then also it's just not, I just thrive in smaller, close knit sort of conversations in general. But I think that coming back to that value piece, I mean, that's something I have learned like in the last 24 months of being in the startup world, is that it's you're putting in, you're giving of yourself, of your connections, of your knowledge, and trying to connect people and help people out, and it always comes back to you. And it doesn't even like, it's not even give to get, like people are willing to provide value to you almost straight away once you enter this world. And I've found that to be so different and refreshing, and it's really challenged me to be as generous and as valuable to others, even when there's no direct like result back for me. Like, and I think that's something that I think is so great about the startup space in general.
One thing that ties in really nicely to that as well was it was a point that was a bit later in the conversation with Amada, but was actually a little bit around navigating authenticity and also expectations and boundaries. So she was talking about, you know, giving freely and having no expectation that will be returned, which is pretty much what you said there, Courtney. But the counter to that, I think, is that, yeah, like you also want to have healthy boundaries. Like if someone's, I had like a little bit of an interesting dynamic recently where I was like receiving a lot and not necessarily asking for it. And then I felt quite overwhelmed by that. And so it's also kind of, yeah, it's a challenging dynamic that you want to manage. But certainly if you're giving, like you do need to give freely, because I myself and other, you know, family members have shown up in relationships in different ways and given things. And sometimes that's actually led to resentment because they haven't been giving from a free space. So I think there is a key lesson in there that if that's the ethos you're going in with, do go in with, you know, truly no expectations that will come back. It does tend to come back, but I think, yeah, there is a warning in that you can't give and then expect to receive.
Yeah.
From the other hand.
Yeah, you talk about boundaries, Amy, and I think one of the byproducts of finding your fit is when you do and you make your peace with it, is you do feel more comfortable to set those boundaries in place. And I think about, I mean, it must be real because I made a LinkedIn post about it this week, which was I've set boundaries with investors that I am willing to engage with. And I love lists. So I keep lists of everything. And one in particular is my hell yes for investors who I admire, have spoken with, you know, would be a dream to have on the cap table at various stages of growth from startup through, you know, Series G. And I have lists of investors who are hell no, I don't want you anywhere near my company. And I actually keep tabs on them too, because I want to see who's in their orbit. There's one particular investor who I actually do follow on LinkedIn, not because I admire the work this person is doing, but because I need to see the ecosystem they're engaged with, because I don't want any tentacles that they're associated to come near what I'm building.
That is some strong boundary work.
So strong.
And that is it. Like, that is like, talk about like finding your fit and then putting some like beautiful rails around it.
Yeah,
and that
I
feels
think
really good.
Yeah, I think that safety is really important. And so, like, when you're giving as well, like, do so within your own boundaries of, like, I can give this freely and I'm not going to feel resentment. Like, sense check that. Because if you go too far the other way, then you're not actually even being giving. You know, that's an expectation and that's a different way of showing up. But boundaries has been something of a challenge for me, Michelle. So I love that. And I have something unhinged. I was smiling as you were going through that experience. But on my learning, because all of your boundaries kind of start out in your own personal relationships, right? I have an Excel spreadsheet with all of my friends on it. And I have gone through like at some point in time and been like positive engagement, negative engagement, like how are these people showing up like in relationship with me, and been like, you're cut, you're cut, you're cut, except I'm actually still a people pleaser. So they're not cut, but at least I'm at step one awareness. So that's
That's
pretty unhinged, but like
beautiful
you've
and
got to
brutal.
work that out.
That is
I'm nuts.
poetry in motion on a daily basis with every interaction you have. Amy, like, yes. But you kind of have to. Like, I don't think that is unreasonable because you really have to protect your time. And I even look at it like in the professional sense. I'm sure you've all been hit up for introductions. People want connections to your network. I do it too. I hit people up. People hit me up. And it's so balanced where, yes, I want to make the person who's asking happy, but I also have to protect the integrity of the person that they're asking to be connected to. So you can't just free flow every intro. You have to have have your own version of a list for who gets to get through and who doesn't. I guess in Amy speak, who gets cut, who doesn't.
They don't get cut. Like the irony is I'm the biggest people pleaser and boundaries are my like biggest challenge. So I'm just saying sometimes you have to go to extreme methods to work on and improve the way that you are showing up. But I love that, Michelle. And yeah, interestingly, I had a good friend sending me lots and lots of introductions and I was quite overwhelmed by that. And I didn't necessarily have like the introductions top of mind or that I knew would be worth kind of connecting in with. So it's a balancing act, I think, that you want to get right and you want to be respectful of each other in that relationship and the value that you're providing, I suppose. Another piece to go back kind of a bit earlier in the conversation with Amada was around, obviously she's got a really big role in the brand marketing culture space. But one interesting takeaway for me was how that really bled through the company. So it was like, here's our mission. Our brand is, a reflection of our mission and the way in which we show up every day culturally, with customers or with ourselves as an internal kind of workforce is a derivative of that. Like we are a health brand. We're on a mission to provide access to health at Superpower. And so healthy eating, healthy food, like shared fitness within our office space and with our customers is important. That was pretty inspiring to see just like how truly that's ingrained through. How do you guys work to do that or what did that make you think in relation to your kind of mission brand and how that carries through your companies?
I've always been kind of obsessed with how you create a culture, like a really strong culture with your team right from the beginning, even when it's small, even when you might be working remotely a lot of the time. And I think it comes from my my background working for a corporate company where culture was like so important and it was always about setting up culture from day one. And if I think about what like I'm trying to do with circular sourcing, I'm definitely trying to bring those things like have a set of values, have a set of principles that we follow. Also to create not an environment that's tense or stressful, but even when it's tense and stressful, because it can get tense and stressful quite a lot, but really trying to create this idea that, nothing is unsolvable and we are a team and we're working on this together and we're solving this challenge together. Um, and I don't have all the answers, but it's just always on my mind. Like, what is the culture we're going to create? Because what happens when the team of 3 becomes a team of 10 overnight and you don't have time to build all that stuff up from scratch? Like, you have to do it when no one's watching, when no one's around. I think that that's and it's hard because it's like a conscious decision. And as the founder, I think people look to you to set the tone. And if you're stressing out or you're not communicating, those things immediately set a kind of tense and not nice culture. So I'm always trying to be super aware of my vibe, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
to start off, on the right foot.
Totally. I think it's so important. Culture, and I know some people might think culture is, oh, we have Friday beers and pizza and it's a feeling, but actually it is so much bigger than that. Like culture is the reason why people also turn up every day. They understand why they're there. They want to be there, and not just because of the Friday beers and pizza, but because they believe in what you're doing. So I think that, to set those values, to your point, Courtney, from the get-go is so, so, so important. Like, you have to be steadfast in your mission as a founder. I've got one person on my team. So in terms of building this big culture, not there yet, but have always had values, things that we stand for, how we want to show up to our customers, how we want to deliver, news and communications to our customers, because it's a really sensitive, childcare is a sensitive space. It's a very personal thing. So from day dot, how we do those things are really, really important. And that flows through to kind of how we operate internally as well, and behave with each other, which I think is really, really nice. She's remote, would love to be in the same office, but it's just not the case at the moment. But yeah, like I think the way that we treat our customers, and keep up that lens, we treat each other the same way. It's a really nice, it's a nice environment.
Flexibility and working remote can make up part of your culture though as well. Like you can, that can work sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I think that's more common in today's day and age. Although I did like the point that Amada made around coming into the office and showing up. And I do think that's critical to culture as well. I think flexibility is super important. And that idea of autonomy and trust, that feeds into that, and that empowers people as well.
Yeah, that's the underlying benefit, actually. You've
Mm.
just picked two reasons why I do what I do and show up in my own business, and that's autonomy and trust. That's the way in which I prefer to work. So those are two big reasons why I choose to show up in my own business each day.
Yeah, 100%.
I think living what you're building and selling is so important. It's not just that it's the right, authentic thing to do. I think it's going to bleed over if you don't, and you don't want that spillage to be toxic. You need it to be so on point and so cohesive. So our team at Zipline just grew a little. We added 2 new team members in the past 5-6 weeks. Hooray. And one of the things we realized now as a team of, kind of call it 5-6 people, was we need to formalize what some of those values would be for that cultural fit of how we're growing and how we're shaping. And, we really spent some time looking at it. So what really spoke to us was, I go back to the original tagline 2 years ago when I was putting the very first slide and logo together for Zipline. Uplift consumers, unleash commerce was what I wrote in the middle of the page. And I thought to myself, the tech will change, consumer behaviors will innovate, change, brands will come and go. But at the core of what this company does, if we always uplift the consumer, I know it will unleash commerce. And so with that in mind, we talked about the values now internally as a team, and there's a whole bunch of them, but 2 really, I think, stay close to my heart a little bit. The first one is don't copy and bore, experiment and soar. Just giving people this uplift yourself and free yourself of the shackles of what you think people are expecting. Don't do it just because it's been done before. And copying that's such a cop out. So don't do that. And the other one was shine a spotlight on others and allow others to shine the light on you. And so I kind of love this race to be kind, be the first one to just shine the light on someone on the team or something that's happening that is making you feel good. But then when it's your turn and people are doing it to you, don't deflect, water your flowers, take them and feel good about that too.
Oh, that was so epic. Lots of nuggets there, Michelle,
Yeah.
actually. One thing I love about you, take your flowers, is the vision of Zipline. It's so, so big. And I saw that when we first met. And like as you went through some of those, key missionary statements, you can really feel that in what you're saying. You've created something that has a lot of space for growth, and it's not, it's a very broad mission, which gives you a lot of opportunity to go much bigger in your vision and much bigger in your execution, which is super exciting.
I have a question for you though, Amy, on that, because your team is like, yes, there's people who work at Slice, right? But you also have this extended team of all the brokers and lawyers that you work with. How does that fit work with that network of people in your business?
Yeah, we sort of view them as partners, and they view us, I think, the same, or I like to think. So there's a lot of brand value and trust value in that relationship with our partner brokers and partner lawyers. In fact, it won't work what we're trying to deliver if we don't have great, partner that brokers or financial advisors, whatever you'd like to call them, but they help you get the home loan, and then conveyancing lawyers or real estate lawyers, which help you do the due diligence on the home. So yeah, we are selective with the partners that we work with, and we have a process to ensure that we've got quality partners there. But it's really important that they're aligned with our brand as well. And so the way that we speak with them, our messaging, and the way that we kind of present our brand, our mission, to reduce barriers to home ownership and provide access, that's all kind of, again, bleeding through in our materials, on our website, in our content, in our podcast, the Slice Home Buyers podcast. So all of that is really, I guess it's that theme that Amada was talking about. It's having that brand, that mission bleed through into all of your materials in every presence and in every way you show up and in your working relationships. So there's an internal team culture aspect to that. And then there's also the way that you're working with, in many ways, your customers. I mean, Haley's actually the same with her, the nanny side. They're actually really delivering a lot of the value. So that intrinsically changes the relationship, and it means that you want to have a really healthy kind of, again, brand mission aligned experience with those kind of customer slash partners.
Mm.
I
And one
think
of
when you're in a market, oh, sorry, Haley.
champions the carers. So one of our values is purposely built all around how we treat these nannies and grow them as their own businesses for that very reason, because they are representing our brand.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think when you're in a marketplace situation where you're relying on one side to deliver that high quality service to the other side of the marketplace, it's so critical that they're aligned, and that if you find certain ones that aren't delivering that service, that aren't providing something that represents your brand and your values, that they need to go.
And that's the power of marketing that comes from that, is you can do that. You speak your brand, you live your brand in the way that you show up online, in the way that you create ads or content. And I think you can exclude people from joining, because the way in which you talk about your brand and your mission brings in people that are brand and mission aligned. And so that's why, what Amada was talking about is the bleed through from brand, to just reiterate that, from mission to brand to culture. It's so important that all of those things flow through, because actually where there is disconnect is when, you might bring on the wrong partner, which results in the wrong outcome, which results in, um, awesome. Well, the final question that I had, which was another reflection on Amada and Michelle's amazing interview, was around challenges or changes that you've navigated. Because I really took away from, I guess, her decision to walk away from a marriage, a career, and kind of change direction there. That was an interesting piece for me that I took. And she spoke about authenticity, and in particular, one piece I took away was the quote that I'm now going to ask myself: are you fully in? Um, what kind of experiences have you guys had where your authenticity may have been tested? You've had to ask yourself that question, and or maybe you haven't made the right decision because you haven't had those tools.
I'm happy to jump in on this, because what comes to mind for me first is actually also my first marriage. And I remember probably 2 weeks before the wedding, my first husband we were living in San Francisco. We were deep in the tech world and we were young. We were babies. But basically it should have been illegal. Like, I feel like we were so infantile. Big tech egos, really immature relationship. But I sat there, I met him for lunch, a week or two before the wedding. And I thought to myself, there is no way I should be marrying this person. And you just kind of like squash it, And I went to the gym that night and I said to myself on the treadmill, okay, Michelle, if you can run one more mile, the marriage will work. And I think, if you're bargaining with yourself on a treadmill, then you gotta stop that treadmill and really look at yourself in the mirror. As we all know now, that marriage did not last. I mean, we were together for 10 years, but I ran as many miles as I could.
I was waiting for you to say the treadmill broke and it was serendipitous and it told you the out, but no.
But I think there
We
is
ignored the
something
flag.
we do. We're so trained sometimes to do this growth success chart on milestones that were societally accepted or laid out for us, that we ignore these huge, big, alarm bells going off because no, it's supposed to look like this. So just keep going, and there's been a bunch of those, probably to a lesser degree in business, where, you can course correct and not completely have to uplift your life. But I have had some co-founder divorces. But I now know how to, read the signs and navigate those actually because of my first divorce. So yeah.
Just to complement that though as well, when you're saying you now know how to read the signs, that's something that stands out to me. Actually, we all have probably been in similar situations as that, different personal circumstances or whatnot, but it's actually hard to ignore the signs when you haven't learnt what a sign looks like. So actually going through and navigating change, it's amazing if you can pick up on that, but I do actually think it's something you have to learn, like you do, and sometimes you have to fail in certain ways. I'm not saying a marriage is a failure, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you actually have to go through this process to go, actually, those were screaming signs and I'm going to learn from that. So next time stuff like that crops up, I know how to navigate it and I know that they are signs and they're not just kind of a reservation because of something else.
Yeah, no, you're right. They're so necessary. Like, we really got to eliminate this F word of the failure because it's not. It's actually a huge win. Everything I gained, I actually, by the way, just made this full circle peace with my first husband out of the blue 15, 20 years later. It just happened last month, by the way. And we just sent each other the loveliest email exchange, thanking each other, acknowledging that we mishandled it, mistreated what should have just been two best friends who should never have gotten married, and thanking each other for what we've learned. And that, I think, is whether we figured it out a year later or 20 years later, that kind of unlock, that's a huge win.
There's
nothing. My marriage today is amazing. It's rock solid. The relationships I have with people that I bring into my life now are phenomenal because of all those lessons.
Exactly. You had to go. Sometimes you just have to go through it to learn these lessons.
I think when you're younger as well, I'm thinking about this in relation to business, relationships and business as well, but you kind of want to will your way through every situation. You believe that you can, that's actually, I've only just clocked that, but the way in which you said one more mile on the treadmill, you're willing your way into an outcome. And it actually, unfortunately, doesn't work like that. And I've, spent a lot of my life, I think, trying to will and drive with grit and pain, to be honest, in a certain direction and control. I've tried to grab onto something that I've wanted and just drive towards it, not realizing that there was a path over here that may have been much easier or here. And it's that kind of you need it actually as a founder, that kind of sheer grit and determination and almost close-mindedness. But also as you mature, you sort of realize actually perhaps that outcome isn't for you. And in startups, it means you need to start looking at more systems, and how not just like sheer grit and determination can drive you forward, but how systems can, how teamwork can, how, these unlocks can allow you to kind of move forward. And so for me, listening to your reflection there, Michelle, it was around actually how can we also cede some control as well and be open to the possibilities around us and just flow with a little bit more ease, because then you can make those changes more authentically, from a holistic kind of view, as opposed to just because you can run 1 mil on a treadmill or will yourself into that outcome.
I think that's so interesting, like knowing the difference between, when you should push on and dig your heels in, and when it's time to make a not necessarily a pivot, but course, like change courses, and that could be through a personal thing. It could be through business. I like am thinking about when I was wrapping up my previous business, and I really could have dug my heels in and gone for a few more years and tried to like continue kind of banging my head against the wall to try to make this thing like take off, or to change what I describe now as spinning my wheels. And I'm really glad I listened to my gut in that moment when I just woke up one day and I knew, and I was like, this is I'm gonna call it today. And not because we were struggling financially, I just knew that there was this opportunity with circular sourcing, and that we could either grab it and go for it, or I could just keep trying to do both, kind of half. And anyway, it just like I feel like as I get older, I get more comfortable with listening to that little gut feeling and knowing when, and maybe I should have made the decision earlier. I don't know. But I think that that timing felt so perfect in like when I look back, but I wouldn't have known that at the time other than this tiny little feeling inside. So maybe we have, that little intuition sometimes that we try to ignore, but I'm trying to listen to it more. And it's so far hasn't let me down.
Yeah,
I think that is one thing. Learn to listen to that intuition, but in the right way.
Yes.
It can show up as anxiety, which is very confusing.
I've also felt that a lot.
And sometimes there's 3 or 4 voices, which is just
Wait, what?
yeah, I know. There isn't. But I think what's important there is like to reflect on Amada as well, like a key takeaway there. Are you fully in? Stop, listen to your intuition. Are you fully in? Like take the moment to digest that and sit with that. And as founders, I know we'll all feel the same way, but you're always constantly driving and feeling you need to be moving. But sometimes the best thing you can do is take a short stop and like listen, ask the question, and then another path may appear. It might still be to reach the same outcome, but it's like, oh, there's another path over here, which if you're kind of just pushing and driving forward all the time, it's exhausting. A, that's what I've found, but B, also there may have been another path.
So I think one of the great things of knowing Amada and more of her story, I'm so proud of her, and I love that she mentioned both professional and personal moments of finding her fit, calling it out when it's not, and pushing that eject button to course correct. But I think the common thread that she has done so well that we can all learn from is she's been very open about it. So she, we talked about it when she was going through her relationship. We talked about it, and she would take it to social media when she was going through professional changes. She made her journey very open. Didn't mean all advice coming into her was equal, but it allowed her to get that advice, air out her thoughts, and I think in her own way then not have to carry that burden and make peace with it, so that you start to almost practice hearing what solutions might sound like, that it feels less scary to actually do it then. And I do think whether it's a gender thing and women do this more than men, I don't know, but my hunch is we do, is that we carry it internally. We're quiet about it. You know, if there is a co-founder conflict as women, we don't want to be seen as troublemakers. And that's how I felt. I was like, God, no, I can't have the quintessential two female co-founders are fighting with each other. What will our investors think? You know,
Cat fight.
right? Like those cliches come to
Not
mind,
bad
and
at
you're like,
that.
let me be professional. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, I'm going to be the professional. I'm going to push through. You know. But they catch up with you. And I think transparency, openness, and finding that network, which is going back to the very beginning, find your fit. Who are your people so that you can be open with and you don't have that judgment. You don't get cut off of Amy's list. And,
Nobody, don't worry.
and you can make the right choice.
I haven't worked out boundaries yet, so nobody's come up.
I'm just wondering what our notes say on Amy's list.
A++. I think that's the perfect place to finish the episode, guys. But thank you, Michelle, for bringing Amada into our We community. It was such a pleasure and a privilege to listen to that, actually. So I'm excited to hear some more of your episodes and some other guest episodes soon.
Amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks for joining our community. You can follow us on Instagram at FWordsPodcast and subscribe wherever you listen. Share this episode with a fellow founder or someone thinking about becoming one.